David Shields is the author of 10 books of fiction and nonfiction, including the New York Times bestseller, The Thing About Life Is That One Day You'll Be Dead, which was published by Knopf last year and has been reissued in paperback by Vintage. Reality Hunger, a manifesto, which is forthcoming from Knopf in January. Black Planet, Facing Race during an NBA season, a finalist for the National Book Critics Circle Award. Remote, Reflections on Life in the Shadow of Celebrity, winner of the PEN Revson Award. And Dead Languages, a novel, winner of the PEN Syndicated Fiction Award. He has received the Guggenheim Fellowship, 2 NEA Fellowships, an Ingram Merrill Foundation Award, a Ludwig Vogelstein Foundation grant, and a New York Foundation for the Arts Fellowship. His essays and stories have appeared in the New York Times Magazine, Harper's, Yale Review, Village Voice, Salon, Slate, McSweeney's, and The Believer. He lives with his wife and daughter in Seattle, where he is a professor of English at the University of Washington. He is also a member of the faculty in Warren Wilson College's Low Residency MFA program for writers in Asheville, North Carolina. Please welcome David Shields.
Thank you, Alyssa. It's nice to be here. I'm going to read a super compressed version of my book, Thing About Life. It's a little bit like, I don't know if you know those things where people read Hamlet in about 60 seconds. This will be slightly like that, I'm afraid. The book takes you from, doesn't take you, but it takes the reader from birth to death via story, data, and quotation, and that's pretty much what my reading is going to do, kind of the super duper fast version of the book. And the only other thing I'll say is sort of my usual prefatory statement is that when I read, I usually stutter a bit. So rather than that being this awkward subtext of the reading, I tend to want to say that out front, lest the whole room go cold with odd feeling about them. So, without further ado, I shall read about 20 paragraphs from the book. My father reminds me that according to Midrash, the ever-evolving commentary upon the Hebrew scriptures, when you arrive in the world as a baby, your hands are clenched as though to say, everything is mine. I will inherit it all. When you depart from the world, your hands are open as though to say, I have acquired nothing from the world. When my daughter Natalie was born, I cried, and my wife Lori didn't. Too busy. One minute we were in the hospital room holding hands and reading magazines, and the next Lori looked at me with a commanding seriousness I'd never seen in her before and said, put down the magazine. Natalie emerged, smacking her lips, and I asked the nurse to reassure me that this didn't indicate diabetes. I'd been reading way too many parent-to-be manuals. I vowed I would never again think a trivial or stupid or selfish thought. This exalted state didn't last, but still. Edward Young wrote, our birth is nothing, but our death begun. Over the course of your life, you're likely to take about 850 million breaths. Aging begins immediately after the actuarial prime of life. In the United States and in most other developed countries, the actuarial prime of life is age 7. After you turn 7, your risk of dying doubles every 8 years. Nietzsche wrote, there is more wisdom in your body than in your deepest philosophy. Wittgenstein said, our only certainty is to outwit the body. Martha Graham said, the body never lies. We are all thrillingly different animals, and we are all, in a sense, the same animal. The body in its movement from swaddling to casket, can tell us everything we can possibly know about everything. I've forgotten the names of nearly everyone I went to junior high school with, but I'll never forget Pam Glendon or Joanne Levis, best friends, bad girls, reputed drug addicts, to whose yearbook photos I masturbated throughout 8th grade. At the time, this activity seemed to me magical, private, perverse, unique, and all-important. It was not. It was blood flowing through me, which at some point in the not entirely unforeseeable future, 18,000 days, say, at the outside, will no longer flow. My dad will be dead soon. One day, I'll be dead. Despite, or perhaps because of all of the data gathered in this book, I still find those two facts overwhelming. Brain scans of people processing a romantic gaze, new mothers listening to infant cries, and subjects under the influence of cocaine bear a striking resemblance to one another. According to Daniel McNeil, our pupils reach peak size in adolescence, almost certainly as a lure in love, then slowly contract till age 60. As Natalie would say, as she actually did say, that's awesome. When she asked me why people write graffiti, I tried to explain how teenage boys need to ruin what's there in order to become who they are. I talked about boys at the swimming pool who simply would not obey the pleasant female lifeguard, asking them to leave the pool at closing time. They left the pool. They left only when asked gruffly by the male lifeguard, and then they left immediately. Boys are like Pez dispensers, says a teenage girl. Show them a nipple and they get an erection. The average penis of a man is 3 to 4 inches when flaccid and 5 to 7 inches when erect. The recorded range for an erect penis is 3.75 inches to 9.6 inches. In the 1930s, mannequins imported from Europe came in 3 sizes according to the size of the genitalia: small, medium, and American. Compared to other cultures, Americans are obsessed with the size of sexual organs, penises, and breasts. Lyndon Johnson frequently urinated in front of the secretary, routinely forced staff members to meet with him in the bathroom while he defecated, and liked to show off his penis, which he nicknamed Jumbo. In a private conversation, pressed by a couple of reporters to explain why we were in Vietnam, LBJ unzipped his fly, displayed Jumbo, and said, "This is why." Halocryps, sheaths that cover a New Guinean man's penis, run to 2 feet in length. The length of my penis when erect is 6 inches. Boringly, frustratingly average. I've measured it several times. As soon as animals, including humans, reach sexual maturity, many of their functions weaken. These weaknesses appear in humans beginning at age 25. Your IQ is highest between ages 18 and 25. Once your brain peaks in size, it starts shrinking, losing weight, and filling with fluid. Goethe said, "Whoever is not famous at 28 must give up any dreams of glory." When I was 31, I was informed that someone had written in a stall in the women's bathroom in a bookstore, David Shields is a great writer and a babe to boot. This is pretty much the high point of my life. When my acne was long gone and I still had hair and was thin without dieting and could still wear contacts and thought I was going to become famous. Beginning at age 40, your white blood cells, which fight cancer and infectious diseases, have a lower capacity. I was waiting my turn at the pharmacy when a 20-something, accompanied by his pretty, punky girlfriend, tried to cut in line. I told him to go to the back. He said, "What is this, junior high?" I said, "No, this is the line for the pharmacy, but the way you're acting." He asked why I couldn't grow hair on my head. I wondered why I hadn't grown any taller. It was a very high-level exchange. He pushed me, I pushed him. He raised his fist and said, "Let's go." 40 years receded, and it was as if I'd returned to 5th grade, the last time I was in a fight. I got a huge adrenaline surge. I could hear my heart thumping, and I couldn't quite catch my breath. I declined the drugstore fisticuffs, but I replied with the emphatic approval of my middle-aged comrades in line. Life has rules. Life has rules. I was appalled. It never occurred to me that I would ever say anything remotely resembling them. If life has rules, what are they? At a party recently, I overheard a woman attempting to seduce a young man half her age say, "I'm 45, but I'm tight." That's pretty much it. Sex and death, reproduction and oblivion. A couple of years ago, I told Lori that it seemed to me as if so many people our age, 48 or a bit older, had started taking, quote, nice pills. Everyone seemed so much more mellow. She said, "It's not them, it's you. You're nicer. And so people seem to you." "No," I protested. "No, I'm not. I'm a walking blade." Joke courtesy of my back doctor, Stan Herring. There are 3 kinds of married sex. When you're first married, you're so lusty you have sex in every room in the house. After several years, the passion dies down a little, and you can find sex too in the bedroom. After many years, you pass each other in the hallway and say, "Fuck you." 1 in 5 married couples has sex less than once a month. I recently heard a woman on the radio suggest, as a joke, I think, that couples should have sex no more often than they do their taxes. Quarterly, I suppose. I used to throw my back out completely, the classic collapse on the sidewalk and yowl to the heavens. But now, thanks in large measure to my back doctor and physical therapist, I seem to have it under control to the point that my back never goes out completely anymore. I sit on a 1-inch foam wedge on my chair and get up every hour to do exercises, or at least tell myself I do, or at least take a hot shower, or apply an ice pack or heat pad. I sleep on my side on a latex mattress. Upon waking, I don't just sit up, but rather first, quote, find my center. There really is such a thing, I'm pleased to report. My physical therapist keeps reminding me that neither he nor Dr. Herring has a solution. I have to become my own authority and view my recovery as an existential journey. I reassure that I do, I really do. I see going to the drugstore to get toothpaste as an existential journey. Remember the near fisticuffs? Now, rather than endlessly rehearsing how my life might have been different, I tell myself how grateful I am for my life with Lori and Natalie and our relative health and happiness together. I'm newly in love with Lori, aware of her weaknesses and accepting of them because I'm so blisteringly aware of my own. I go to sleep with a night guard jammed between my teeth and a breathe right strip stretched across my nose to mitigate snoring and a pillow between my legs. I walk around with an ice pack stuck in one coat pocket and a baggie of ibuprofen and muscle relaxants in the other. I'm not exactly the king of the jungle. At 67, my father purchased an annuity that he would have broken even on if he died at 76. Having outlived the actuarial projections by 21 years so far, he tells everyone he meets how much money he has made on it. He buttonholes strangers and informs them that he's only 3 years from the century mark. My father, now at 97, seems bored beyond belief, virtually without a single interest or enthusiasm other than continued existence, day after day after day. Whenever I visit, one of the first things he always wants me to do is drive him to a specialty market where he buys gourmet health food. I'm not sure he enjoys food anymore, but he's obsessed with efficient fuel for his body, that relentless life force. He talks with his mouth full and sprays food so often and so far that Natalie, Lori, and I take turns sitting across from him at restaurants. Natalie has suggested building a portable sneeze guard. Centenarians, you guys probably know what they are. They're people who have lived to age 100 or older. Centenarians tend to be assertive, suspicious, and practical. Natalie's former daycare teacher, now a manager for the outpatient clinic of a cancer care center, says, "It's the assholes who always get better." My father isn't an asshole exactly, but he is mightily self-involved, which seems to have had no ill effects whatsoever on his health or longevity. A priest, a minister, and a rabbi are discussing what they'd like people to say after they die, and their bodies are on display in open caskets. The priest said, "I'd like someone to say he was righteous, honest, and generous." The minister says, "I'd like someone to say he was kind and fair, and he was good to his parishioners." The rabbi says, "I'd want someone to say, look, he's moving." Last words. Air Force Major Norman Bissell, flying band leader Glenn Miller to France on a flight that vanished over the English Channel. "What's the matter, Miller? Do you want to live forever?" Lady Astor, the first woman member of British Parliament, surrounded by her entire family, on her deathbed said, Lady Astor, the first woman member of British Parliament, surrounded by her entire family, on her deathbed said, "Am I dying or is this my birthday?" Gertrude Stein asked Alice B. Toklas, "What is the answer?" When Toklas didn't respond, Stein laughed and said, "In that case, what is the question?" What will my father's last words be? What will mine be? All human beings have bodies. All bodies are mortal. Yours, too, is one of these bodies. What I've been trying to get to all along, in a way, is this. The individual doesn't matter. You, Dad, in the large scheme of things, don't matter. I, Dad, don't matter. We're vectors on the grid of cellular life. We carry 10 to 12 genes with mutations that are potentially lethal. These mutations are passed on to our children. You to me to Natalie. Aging followed by death is the price we pay for the immortality of our genes. You find this information soul-killing. I find it thrilling, liberating. Life, in my view, is simple, tragic, and frighteningly beautiful.
David, thanks so much for coming. Thanks to everyone for coming. Thanks to all our readers. David's books are being sold back behind the front desk, or in front of the front desk or something. So please pick up a copy of The Thing About Life is That One Day You'll Be Dead. See you guys all on April 7th?
Yeah.
April 7th.